beginning, I was getting my own clientele. Not many, but some. And one of them I remember was a case of, the loss of a man, and I got the largest settlement of that era. And guess what it was? $10,000 was considered an enormous recovery for a man killed in an accident. And I mean, it's almost inconceivable that in the 30s, the value of a life was $10,000. And that was the highest that had on a settlement. But things changed, and particularly after everybody came back from the war. There was more money around, and so it elevated into all the professions. In the courthouse over on Royal Street, that was a dream in my time. You really liked to go to court.
Why?
Oh, first of all, you passed through the quarter and everything was going on, so it was wonderful. And then you got in that, everything was in that one place. All the courts, up to the Supreme Court, were there. All the clerks' provinces were all assembled. Everything was there. You met everybody, you heard all the gossip, and sometimes you even heard a little law, and it was fun. We're the only state in the Union that has civil law, or is supposed to have civil law. Now, as the world has progressed, especially since the Second World War, we are now realizing that if you practice law all over the world. And I think the percentage is about 80% of the world is civil law as opposed to common law. Now, why in the world do we want to be in a position of prominence? We have our chance, and we just about destroyed it by trying to accommodate to what the rest of the United States, because they're trained in the common law, we ought to give up ours. Now, the law schools, they try to do both, I'll say that. But I suspect there's an increment now of common law that has sort of submerged. We even let the common lawyers come down here and practice law. We used to have that to our advantage, you know. You got to start off with a wide view. Today, I don't know if you could survive economically without specializing. I think you have to start, though, with the wide view, or you specialize at your own risk. I mean, there's so much you miss if you don't see the whole picture. No, I'm in favor of the rules. I get the general feeling that there are an awful lot more than we need, but maybe that's because, well, it's how many practice law. Now, everybody goes to law school, doesn't practice law. And I think law schools have got a lot of information that you can use in anything, even down to cleaning up, if you want to go through all that pressure. But, and no, it's a valuable, you ought to know what the laws of you have to live under, what they are. And so if you learn those, it doesn't, well, the technique of telling the court how those laws are to be used, I don't think you learn that in law school necessarily. I think you learn that, you have to figure that yourself. It's sort of like asking you, how do you deal with anybody that opposes you on any scale, not just law? How do you deal with people who don't agree with you? And that's so personal. I don't think it can be taught. Look, all we have to do is to look at the political situation today and see that it's awfully hard to reconcile people who are so firmly convinced that they can't at least see the other side. But that's not a thing you learn in law school. That's good sense. You know, I spoke to the graduating class 2 years ago, and Tulane Law School. I don't know that any of them got any inspiration from that. I think it depends. I hope none of them had to go back to a local situation that so badly needed help as we got. But it's altogether possible that they did. But that's something that they have to size up. If they don't have enough ingenuity to think of ways to combat what they think ought to be combated, there's no hope unless somebody with inspiration brings it to them. But, you know, nobody brought it to us.